Welcome everybody, it's Talking Kaizer Chiefs and it's Peter Du Toit, brought to you by SoccerBeat with Tsepo Masilela and Coach Farouk Khan. Chiefs fans, 7 defeats in a row, not a good sign. A derby loss, not a good sign, with a Derby Cup final coming up in 7 days' time. But there were positives. A great start. Tsepo, Chiefs could not have asked for a better start. He made a change, Lepo down the middle, something that we've spoken about. It looked like a masterstroke after 14 minutes. But what happened after that?
Oh, Peter, for Chiefs to take a lead in the second minute of a derby, it's a dream start for anything, It's a dream start. But again, it goes back to the Marumo game, if I'm not mistaken. They took the lead earlier on, they went on to lose the game. So it seems like it's a habit in their team. They cannot manage the lead, and it's a big question now to the character and the mentality of the team, and what went wrong? I think also Pirates, how they switched the changes they made in during halftime, taking back Otto to the left back position. I think it worked for Orlando Pirates, and Kaizer Chiefs couldn't really cope with that, because if you take Otto back and you have the two wingers now, you have Rele on the left and Nkota, you need a midfielder with legs or two in the middle to cover the 1v1s on the side. If I direct him inside, defensive midfielder has to be able to cover me, but they didn't have the legs. I felt Ngobo, he didn't win any duel today, and he was playing more as a 6. If you have a 6 that doesn't win any duel, that doesn't come out the full back to create 2v1 against the wingers, then you'll have problems.
100%. No, Coach, here's a perfect opportunity. You sitting on the Chiefs bench, Tsepo has just correctly described this whole scenario. You see the change. It's very clear after 5 minutes what's happening. In fact, you know it anyway once you see Marco coming off, and Dlamini coming on. You know exactly what's happening. After 5 minutes, you see the kind of almost overload on the left-hand side, your right-hand side. Nothing happened. And you've got two midfielders who don't have legs. Mart did very well, and he tries, but he's not a runner. Like Tele, for example. Ngabe didn't do anything. You're sitting on the bench. What would you have done, and what should Nabi have done?
Well, let's start with the first half. Paris played with the twin pivot. They played with Mbata and they played with Makola in the central. It didn't work out. They then realized that they needed somebody to ensure that they kept the ball better. They brought in Dlamini. They sacrificed Marco, and they changed the midfield complexion, taking Rele now. Instead of playing behind the 9, Evidence. They put him wide. Okay, Evidence then stayed in the middle. So that was a masterstroke, as Tsepo rightly pointed out. Now I've got to counter that. So I've got to now change and ensure that I play with 2 6s, because I didn't start with 2 6s. Nobo played more as an 8, and so did what's his name? Nobo. They played Nobo and Mart was supposed to be your 6. Okay, so Mart defensively is okay, but he's not the ideal 6. So now you've got to bring in somebody who can stabilize. Irrespective of what they say about Mtetwa, I think he could have been, for this game, the type of player that could ensure that he made things difficult for Orlando Pirates in midfield. I don't think he's injured. I don't think he's suspended. Am I right?
He was on the bench. He was on the bench.
So therefore, bring him in, because now we've got to stabilize the middle. Especially after what Tsepo has just said. You're bringing in 2 excellent attacking players. One-on-one, Rele is brilliant. On the other side, Kota, also brilliant. So now they're bombing down the side. So if you don't have cover defense, if you don't have one of the 6s on each side covering that side, you're in trouble. And this is where Chiefs were found wanting. They didn't change anything. They made changes much later in the game. And it was like for like again. Bringing one in, bringing another one in. It didn't really give Pirates much problems in the second half. Pirates totally dominated the second half. And I think if they had taken those chances, especially when those half chances came about, I think I mentioned Kota laying it up for Rele, and there's a few others. The score could have been maybe 4 or 5 today. So as a coach now, I have to plan moving forward that I don't make the same mistake come the cup final.
Yeah. So we'll come back to the cup final. Just going back to the 2 fullbacks and the 2 wingers. And I want to again talk to you, Tsepo. For the Chiefs fans out there, you've got a situation where you've got 2 fullbacks, Solomons, who's supposed to bomb forward. And by the way, for the first goal, he was in the box when the ball came loose for to Lelepo to have a shot. But when you've got Nakata wide and you've got Mofokeng wide and you've got two fullbacks who've got to pick them up, what do you want your wingers to do? Because Chiefs almost didn't have a winger. Serena was playing basically almost a kind of free role with Aleppo down the middle and Modi on the left. I felt so much space for more players to bomb forward on the left-hand side for Pirates. And what do you as fullbacks when you see, because to a certain extent, Cross would shuffle into a center position and Modi would come back and defend when Chiefs were attacking. But once Chiefs won the ball, as a fullback, I didn't see the fullbacks, they go forward and try and make this pitch smaller. It seemed like they were just allowing Pirates to make a bigger pitch each time. As a fullback, how do you feel in that situation where you just know, okay, they're going to keep coming again, because they're not being squeezed up? Well, that's how I saw it, unless you saw it differently.
No, firstly, as a fullback, Peter, you want to be compact, meaning when you compact, your winger is close to you. So yeah. if the winger I'm defending, it drops to the halfway line, like close to maybe he's attacking close to the center, but on the wing side, I would direct my winger. He's not dangerous anyway. He's going to play a back pass. But once you give him room and space to receive and run at me, then that's where the problem is. It's either when he's further forward, I become tight, right? I become tight, so I force him to play a back pass or to try, make things difficult. But if the winger is not picking him up and I'm also deep, so it shows that the team is not compact, like from defense to attack, the spaces in between. So we want to manage those spaces so he doesn't have room to always get the ball and come running at me at speed. Because look at how Cross got the red card. And Costa came running at him at speed, and you don't know, because he's left-footed. You don't know if he's going to go inside or he's going to... But when he comes running at you at speed, then that's where the problem is. So you try to prevent that by, if it drops deep, the winger can just go and, try to disturb him, play a simple pass. But if he's further up in the attack, I try and get close to the winger so he doesn't have room to run at me.
Correct. And so then I'm going to come to Coach on this one just quickly before you answer that, is that what was clear, the first goal, the equalizing goal for Pirates came when Shabalala got the ball and he was clear through down the middle. He had Modi wide left and he had, I think, Serena wide right and another player. And instead he lost the ball and Cross was exposed completely. But I didn't see Ngobe covering any of that space. So the ball went wide. Nakota got the ball. Cross was too late to come and close him down. But where was Ngobe in that situation? He was neither fish nor fowl. He wasn't pushing up and he wasn't keeping an eye on Nakota. And you can't expect Cross to be tight in those situations because there'd be a huge gap. So how do you fix that, Coach? Because you got a player who lost the ball, which was criminal, and he should have been. I can tell you, in my day, he wouldn't have stayed on in the second half. He would have been given a complete bollocking. I don't know about, because that cost. He lost the ball, a goal scoring opportunity went, and an equaliser happens. How do you sort that situation when you're attacking and both your wingers are forward and you're a defensive? You've got to defend. Surely your midfielders have got to hold at some stage, and your fullback's got to push up to make the pitch smaller and tighter.
Peter, there's a basic tactic when you attack. You are most vulnerable. The team who attacks is more vulnerable than the team in possession attacking, if you get what I'm saying. So that is why you have to have a very well-organized rest defense. In defense of Shaba, when he lost that ball, he's under the impression that his attack is being covered, because when you attack, there's a chance that you could lose the ball, whether by dribbling or passing. So I don't want to put too much emphasis on Shaba. I want to put emphasis on the defensive organization. Was there sufficient rest defense position to deal with that? If you look at the fact that they were pulled to one side, the ball was played over, and evidence was in acres of space. He came in, they laid it up for him, and he scored a brilliant goal. Similarly to what Tsepo had just explained, it's what we call zonal defending, which is the modern day defending. It's not modern because the Brazilians did it 40, 50 years ago, but it became modern, where we don't go man to man anymore. Yeah, it's just a new word. Because in the past, you would be told, listen, pick up Peter, go with him. If he goes to toilet, go with him. That doesn't work today. Because the rules in football don't favor that type of approach. Because today a skillful player will skin you, and who's going to pick up your man? You understand? So what he's saying is there's pairs. Picture this. Your two centre-backs make a pair. Your left back and your left wing make a pair. Your right back and your right wing make a pair. Your two central midfielders make a pair. How many players do you have thus far? 2, 4, 6, 8. Now you got the luxury of playing either with one or one shadow player behind. If you want to play with two in the old days, with 4-4-2, then the two strikers make the 10 players that I've mentioned.
Yeah.
Now that you've allocated their pairing, you also have triangles. Triangles. You have your left back, your left wide attacker, and your central midfielder forming a triangle, and on the opposite side. So all over the field, you have triangles and you have pairs. Now the coaching comes in. Now you've got to make all of this pairing and these triangles work as a unit. So when the ball is on the left side, we defend the stronger side, which is where the ball is. We leave the right side open, but we don't leave it open without ensuring that we shift across quick enough. So once we see the player on the ball, putting his head down to play the ball on the opposite side, we ensure that we mark in advance. So the right-sided player will close the space. So if you do the shifting quick enough and well coached, and we see this at the highest level all the time, you will be able to deal with teams like Pirates who like to play. It doesn't seem that there's any synergy between the three lines. When I say three lines, your back four, your midfield, and your forwards. There is no synergy. So when we lose the ball up front, we want the front three to be pressing the opposition, but the two wide attackers, we want them to deal with the fullbacks, meaning they starve the fullbacks of possession. The lone striker, if he's lone, will just be drifting in between the two centre backs. But now we've got the two attacking midfielders who will play in the pocket behind. So what we do is, when we see the opportunity, Peter, we now throw a blanket over them and win the ball in their turn. If that's not possible, we then try to win the ball in the midfield, where the two centre-backs, if need be, sometimes have to push into the negative space. This needs to be coached. This is clockwork. No team in the world can plan a season without ensuring that the defensive organization is spotted. I'm not saying don't look at how you need to ensure that you score. Scoring is a given. But if you can't defend properly, then all the scoring in the world is not going to help you. And we know how poor the Chiefs have been as far as scoring, but equally, they haven't been great defending. You just mentioned the way, and Tsepo mentioned, you found a one-on-one with Cross. And this is because there is no collective defending. Yeah. It's very individual.
They're exposed all the time. So, viewers out there, Chiefs fans, you've just heard a masterclass from Tsepo Masilela and a masterclass from Coach Farouk. That was top class, very, very simple, basic, but it's actually a high level because actually the game is football is a simple game. We're going to take a short break.
Peter, just to add, sorry man, to add on that, on the first goal they considered, when you mentioned you do head the ball, maybe wrong decision making, but it was tough for Cross to be close because they countered a counter. That's Pirates. You know, it was a counter, and the rest defense. You thinking, we on? You know, we watching the action plays. He lost the ball, and the first pass from Pirates, you know, between the lines to Nkota. But it could have been, in my opinion, it could have been avoided when the two centre backs. You know, the man carrying the ball, he's got space and time. There's no pressure. They just drop in center, close the space behind you. But instead, they went for an offside. I don't know if Dove was out of position. Quinika tried to play an offside. You don't try and be clever in those situations because they countering a counter. You just have it goes back to zonal marking. You close the space, the zone where Mahopa is gonna run to. He's got no space behind because we're closing the space. I still feel the two centre backs could have dropped and and protected the centre. You know, 100%. They could have avoided that goal.
100%. Again, young fans out there, young players out there, you've had a masterclass from Farouk and Tsepo. And I think, with all due respect to Dove and his centre-back partner, they're not natural centre-backs. They're not thinking centre-backs. They'll rush in where fools fair to tread. We're going to take a short break. Then we're going to talk about how on earth are Chiefs going to get a result next week, because this week's over.
How would you like to win a little something extra just for joining the best in the game? For a limited time, we are teaming up with Betway and giving all of you access to a SoccerBeat exclusive. If you join Betway using the sign-up code SoccerBeat, now you get 25 Rand extra bet. That's right. It's time to get way more out of every bet. Standard T's and C's apply.
Welcome back. It's Talking Kaizer Chiefs, brought to you by SoccerBeat, Tsepo Masilela, Farouk Khan, Peter du Toit. Right. Forget that game. It's over. 0 points. Next Saturday, It's a cup game. You can't draw it. You got to win it. The odds are against Chiefs winning it. Coach, and Tsepo, you're a coach yourself now. What does Chiefs do? Very simply, what do they have to get right to win the cup final next week?
Well, I think they're going to pick up from what they did early in the first half. They were very assertive. They pressed high. They won the ball. They were compact for moments in the game. They need to have that happening over 90 minutes. They have to have a continuous flow of energy. They have to take the game to Pirates much more often. They did get more numbers in the box than they usually do. We had Sereno making runs into the box. So they've got to continue, build on whatever they did this week. But they've got to ensure that there's a better understanding and chemistry when they don't have the ball. It's good when you have the ball, you give them the freedom to attack with the right defensive structures in place, rest defense, etc. But it's when you don't have the ball, that's where I think Chiefs need to make sure from Monday's week, they have to make sure by the time they get to the weekend that that part of their game is well orchestrated. And that there's leadership, there's communication. We don't see much communication from Vuma. He only speaks once there's mistakes. That's what I see. I can't hear it, but I don't see him leading that defense very well. Obviously, the pairing between the two centre-backs, we'll have to wait to see who's Chiefs going to be playing as their central defenders.
I think Miguel will play.
Yes. I think they will change a couple of positions as such. So they'll obviously be a bit more stable. But being more proactive on their organization, their structure, their communication will give them a chance. Because again, Peter, it's a cup final. It can go anyway. On the day, the team turns up, who gives their best. And I think we've seen in the past, where even though Kaizer Chiefs is underdogs now after this result, they will come into that game. Maybe it's a good label to have going into this game. Coming as underdogs and making sure that they are able to take the game to Orlando Pirates. This is a cup final. There's no ways that you can have a second round. It's a one-off. So you've got to go out there and make sure you get the result.
Well, Chiefs fans, I can tell you this much. If a whole lot of you subscribe right now, the Muti will bring you good luck and you'll win it. Up to you guys. I've told you, up to you guys. Tsepo, go to specifics. Where do you see the weak spots at Pirates? I mean, they are good sides, so not many weak spots. But if you're going to be focused as now, you're the coach at Chiefs, what are you saying? You're on the bench with Nabi. You've heard Farouk, but he's spoken generally. Weak spots directly in that. Where can Chiefs focus? Where are the weak spots at Pirates that Chiefs can focus on currently?
Peter, after watching today's game, when I think Mbata, he's got too many touches on the ball for the position he's playing at. He doesn't keep it simple. At times he wants to make the 300. It takes like 5 touches. He wants to turn right and left. I think they can pickpocket the balls from Mbata. I think they did win one ball and it was a foul. I think he fouled the Kaizer Chiefs player. And again they need to try and check. Go to the spaces where. Because sometimes Pirates, they can have Marco and have Shando playing more aggressive. Marco a little bit behind. And, sometimes they can have Voto and they're going more aggressive. But they need to capitalize on those spaces on the white. And also with crosses, they're not the best defending teams when it comes to crosses and set pieces, Peter. They should work hard on also set pieces. They win you games. And again, on the Kaizer Chiefs side, I don't think they're going to go with the same 11. Firstly, number two, the Pirates has done a double this season on Kaizer Chiefs. So I personally I like how they play Chiefs. They're not playing a more defensive game. They're trying to go pound for pound. But this is a final. It's a once-off. So it doesn't matter how you're gonna approach the game, or if you give Pirates more position and try drag it. The longer you don't want to concede early or concede first half in the finals. If you're not scoring, try drag the game, because Pirates they deadly on counter. Once they get that goal, we saw later on, even though Chiefs were one man down, but every time they got a transition, they were dangerous. So I would like a game where Chiefs they're slightly a bit cautious, in their approach to the game.
I agree. And don't score early. Guys, thanks very much. We'll see you all before straight after the final. Cheers, Farouk. Cheers, Tsepo. Fantastic.
Yes, Tsepo.
Yes.
Cheers,
We'll
guys.
talk next week.
SoccerBeat, host.